March 29th. For
Empieza.
the first time ever, we'll be releasing this expansion simultaneously on all platforms, PC, Mac, and console.
Sale al mismo tiempo en PC y en consola.
So make sure
La
you follow
liga.
the instructions
Por
below
primera
in order
vez.
to claim your suffering back attachment.
Drops para los que estéis en directo.
Today's
Sí, puedo
stream will
subirlo.
start with Path of Exile 2, where Jonathan will show you our latest announcements.
Empezamos hoy con
dive into the new Path
POE2.
of Exile Necropolis Challenge League, which launches in 1 week. He'll cover the league mechanics, its deep crafting system, large endgame changes, some improvements to the
¿Ha dicho
core Path of
Deep
Exile
Crafting
campaign,
Service?
and finally some quality of life features.
Creo que no hay
We'll
subtítulos.
then show you our new supporter packs, and we'll head into a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask us your questions from Twitch chat.
Vale, yo os voy traduciendo. Vale, esto es lo que van a hacer hoy. ¿Vale?
Hey guys, it's time to chat about POE2 again.
Va a hablar de POE2. Venga, empezamos con POE2.
Mercenary, and yet even since then, a huge amount has changed. When we announced the Mercenary, we also showed off a lot of the new capabilities.
Esto es el mercenario, ya lo hemos visto, ¿vale?
Moving while shooting was a huge deal in that class, but there were a lot of other more subtle things.
¿Cómo se ve? ¿Cómo se ve?
Well, in recent times, we've only been showing off new character classes, but one thing I've been really excited about is to go back and apply all the new ideas and capabilities that we have to our old classes too. Today, I'd like to show off the Ranger, and I hope
Nos van a enseñar la Ranger, la arquera, básicamente. Se viene. Se viene.
I've lived in this forest all my life. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that a ranger must never miss.
Se viene, cinemática de la arquera,
A beast will hunt you. But it is the cruelty of man I fear. There is no truly escaping the Count's justice.
Your sentence is to be hanged from the neck until dead. Let your souls
Hostia, esta es la cinemática de entrada de la arquera.
your bodies feed the land.
Se le rompe el... vale, esto es como en el POE. ¡Ey! Fijaos que se mueve con WASD. Se mueve mientras golpea. Hostia, muchas habilidades nuevas, ¿eh?
This exile has changed me. No more running. No more fear.
You won't get away this time.
Este es boss nuevo, ¿eh? No se lo había visto.
I will
Este sí que lo hemos visto, creo.
this madness.
¡Es un chocobo! ¡Una montura! ¿Qué?
Let this be a warning, Gianor. I'm coming for you next.
Creo que es el acompañante, ¿eh? No creo que sea una montura. Recordad que la Ranger tiene una ascendencia que incluye mascotas. Hola, Kat. No, acaba de empezar. ¡Hostia, qué precioso se ve! Dios, cómo quita.
We knew we had to make a class with high agility. The dream of fast bow gameplay is Legolas, so that's what we wanted to deliver.
Esto es Lightning
The
Arrow,
starting
¿no?
point is moving while shooting a bow. Any kind of basic arrow skill can be fired while moving, with a movement penalty. This
Vale,
immediately gives you a lot
si
more freedom on the
atacáis
battlefield.
mientras disparáis, obviamente
Here, starting
os
each
movéis
battle
más
with
lento,
poison
¿no? Pero os
arrow
podéis
to
mover.
poison groups of enemies, then using a lightning arrow to arc lightning around larger packs. For even more mobility, we also have a variety of skills that involve vaulting around the battlefield too.
Tiene muchas skills de movimiento la arquera, ¿eh?
Using it jumps backwards and shoots a freezing arrow at the ground. Really
A lo
useful
mejor
for
se
monsters frozen
pierde
when they're
calidad
used
por el directo, ¿eh?
to. Once you've landed, if monsters were frozen, it'd be nice to have some way to take advantage of that extra time. This is where Snipe comes in. Snipe is a skill shot that you need to charge up and release at exactly the right time. If you land the right timing, Snipe is guaranteed to produce a critical strike, and does a small AoE as well, so it's a great finisher. You can also move while shooting arrow rain skills too. This
El
skill
orito.
is Lightning Rod. It shoots an
Bueno,
arrow
ya
into
comenzó,
the air
sí.
that sticks into
Están
the
enseñando
ground. It's a
gameplay de la
small
arquera.
AoE. Once the rods are in the ground, though, they attract any arcs of lightning that are nearby, causing them to explode again.
Eso es corcharro. Luego miraremos las habilidades. Pero sí, parece parecida. Es como una especie de arc, pero con arco.
But for bigger enemies, I'd like to have something that's going to enhance my damage output too. This skill is Stormcaller Arrow. Using it sticks an arrow into an enemy. After a short period of time, a lightning bolt comes from the sky and strikes them. This has a high chance to shock them, and shocked enemies take 30% more damage from all sources. If something big walks along, it's a good idea to throw one of these at them first to enhance the damage before following up with the other combo. Now, if I really want to enhance this combo, there are a couple of things I could do using our support gem system. Skills in Path of Exile are granted by items called skill gems. Each skill gem has
¡Hola! El diseño de las gemas se ha cambiado.
for other items called support
De la support.
Support gems modify your skills, and it's where a huge amount of the customization of your character comes from.
Múltiple projectiles.
Multiple projectile support gem. I could add it to my lightning arrow, and it would fire multiple arrows. This would increase the number of targets I can hit, but that isn't the
Esto es como Storm Rain, ¿no?
If I add it to my lightning rod skill instead, then when I fire it, I get a nice group of rods. This means that I don't have to spend as much time setting up before I can use it with my lightning arrow combo.
¿Qué le ha puesto? Ah, como para repetir,
I might
sí.
also add faster projectiles to make the lightning rods
Ah,
land
faster
faster
projecting.
too.
Vale.
Now next up I'm going to grab this chain support gem. Chaining causes many effects to repeat on new targets when you hit them. If I add it to my lightning arrow, it will cause the arcs that come out of lightning arrow to strike even more targets, rippling along my line of lightning rods for huge amounts of damage.
¿Qué es eso? Less duration.
I think we can use support gems to improve Stormcaller Arrow as well. Let's start simple. I'm going to chuck less duration.
Shock Proliferation.
This will cause
Esa
the lightning
nueva.
from the sky to strike a bit faster. Next up, we have a support called Shock Proliferation. This support makes it so that any enemies shocked by the skill will also have the shock jump to nearby enemies, meaning they'll take the extra damage as well.
Vale.
It's just a chance to proc, so it's not going to proc on every single pack, but when it does, a pack will go down ultra quick.
Guau, cómo pierde, O sea, cómo pierde calidad por vídeo. Luego lo miramos en YouTube, se tiene que ver 1000 veces mejor. Esto es cosa de Twitch. La pérdida de bitrate es por el streaming.
It'll generate 3 times as many lightning explosions.
Sí, es cuando te envenenan se colorea la vida de verde.
You
Sí.
could also use it at just the right moment with Snipe, or any number of other skills depending on what effect you need more of right now. It's very versatile and can be used in a range of situations. Now, even as mobile as the Ranger is, it's still very useful to slow monsters down, and a Ranger certainly has quite a few tools to do this.
O sea, tiene muchas habilidades de movimiento, dice la arquera. Fijaos que tiene una que hace como una especie de mini dash, otra que salta hacia atrás.
Once the rod's in place, any lightning damage they take will build up a special electrocute gauge. Once the gauge is full, the monster is totally suppressed, allowing you to kill them easily.
Chicos, una cosa
Now,
rápido.
sometimes when you use electrocuting rods,
Va a saltar publicidad en un minuto. No me deja cancelarla. Me pone algo ha salido mal. Me vais a odiar mucho. No me deja cancelarla.
If the skill it's attached to puts them over 50% of their electrocute bar, it will trigger instantly.
¿Se va a morir? Vale, a ver, sí, estamos con el POE2. Todavía no hemos empezado con la liga. Están enseñando la arquera en el POE2. Están enseñando parte de lo básico. Pensad que esto no es solo para la gente... A ver. Deep Freeze.
Frozen Nexus to my Frost Escape. This makes an area of chilled ground around frozen enemies. I'll also add Deep Freeze to it as well, which will make the freezes last a bit longer.
Vale. Supports para congelar a los enemigos.
Now when I use my Frost Escape on that front enemy, others nearby are slowed down.
Mira cuántas habilidades nos están enseñando.
Enemies down when they're farther away from me as well. So this would be a great time to start getting into the Ranger's poison and plant-based skill set. To start with, let's have a look at Vine Arrow. This skill fires an arrow into the air that creates a small plant where it lands.
Ah, habéis visto la planta esa que agarra a los bichos, hostia. Está guapo.
And poisoning them. But it does have another function too. If the plant gets further poisoned, it transfers that poison to the monsters it's attached to.
Bueno, es una habilidad de Poison nueva, sin más. La flor de Toxic Rain, sí.
But you can put as much poison as you want on this plant.
Miren los huevitos, está guapo, se ve muy bien esta
Not
habilidad.
worry about the poison part. But if you want to go all in on poison, this is the way to do it. Now, if you do want to
¡Hala!
focus on
¿Cuánto
poisons
daño ha hecho
more,
la explosión esa?
another useful skill is Poison Bloom Arrow. This skill creates these plant pustules on the ground. If you wait a little
¡Hala! Mira, mira,
they'll
mira.
explode.
Hostia, me gusta cuando el propio jugador
Just like
aplica
any other
muchos
plant skill,
efectos,
these
la
plants
verdad.
respond well to poison. Shoot the Poison Burst arrow at enemies nearby and watch your plants grow more and more powerful. Poisoning the pustules causes them to do much more damage and makes them explode much faster as well.
Poisonous
I can also
Arrow
add the
ponía.
pierce support to Poison Burst arrow. Doing this will mean I get more
¿Os dais cuenta
poison
que
bursts
tiene una
as it goes
habilidad
through
en el
monsters?
clic izquierdo? ¿Os dais cuenta? Pero eso es porque aquí se mueve con WASD. Todavía falta por enseñar todas esas gemas, ¿eh?
We also have another skill to make a nice environment for your plants to grow.
¿Habéis visto?
Gas cloud arrow. This skill shoots the ground
El
and
al?
creates a cloud of gas that continuously poisons things inside it. Throw
No,
your
es-
plants
es-
down, and a
es,
gas cloud on
em,
top. The constant poisoning will make them
Podéis
grow.
elegir jugar con WASD o no. Podéis jugar normal, Jack. Sí, se puede controlar con el ratón, sin problema. Fijaos que al pasar el ratón por encima te dice las gemas que puedes usar.
Another poison-related skill we have on the Ranger is called Plague Bearer. This is a
Ah,
resurrection
Plague Bearer.
skill, meaning it uses spirit.
Plague Bearer
When
va a
I
estar
enable
aquí.
it,
Esta
I
me
get
la
this counter
conozco.
That counts up whenever I apply poison to a monster. You can see the counter on the skill increasing.
Mi
as
pez,
each new
estoy
monster
cansado,
is
jefe.
poisoned. Now I'm going to fight these
Me encanta
monsters
cómo
and
se
make
ve,
sure
tío.
to poison them as much
Se
as
ve
I can to
espectacular.
build up the counter.
Sí, también sale el porcentaje abajo y arriba, sí.
It does take quite a while to get the counter up to 100%, but it's worth it. Whenever I choose,
Sí,
I can
Pelocho,
unleash
pero
poison
tranquilo,
with
o sea,
a
en
big
consola
explosion
funcionará
around my
distinto y
character,
podréis
dealing a large
acceder a
amount
todas
of
las
damage.
habilidades. Reino Farrow. Kisol, esta es tuya.
Now,
¿Ves,
next
tío?
up
Al
we have
pasar.
a classic, Rain of Arrows.
Ah, no,
It's
que te
simple.
quita las
Shoot
gemas
a bunch of
support.
arrows in
Ah,
the
no.
sky, and they
Eso
rain
es
down for
que
a
te
short
pone las
time.
gemas support que
It's
están
decent
dentro de la
AoE and
gema.
damage at long range.
Ah. Empezaron con POE2, sí.
Now this skill doesn't last too long, but we
Sí,
can
sí.
change that.
Las support
It's
están
time to
dentro de la
introduce
gema.
Frenzy charges. Frenzy charges are used for a variety of skills on the Ranger, but with Rain of Arrows they can be used to extend
Y
their
cuando lo
duration.
quitas se te quitan todas, qué
How do we
chulo.
get some though? Here we have a skill called Sniper's Mark. Put it on an enemy and it will grant you a frenzy charge when you crit them. Now remember that snipe skill from earlier? That skill guarantees a critical hit. So first we Sniper's Marked an enemy, then we sniped them. And after that, the next Rain of Arrows will last a really, really long time.
O sea, básicamente ha dicho que hay una habilidad que te garantiza que tu siguiente ataque sea crítico.
Enemies with a ton of arrows, each one doesn't do much damage individually. It would be nice if
Los
we had a way
equipos
to break
tienen
the
hueco
armor
para las
barrier.
habilidades
Rain
y
of
luego
Arrows
las
help
gemas
hold
tienen
down.
hueco para las supports.
Thankfully, we have this Corrode Armor support gem, and we can put it on our Gas Cloud arrow. Corrode Armor causes poison to erode the armor on targets until it's all gone. This will significantly increase the damage that Rain of Arrows does against
A
armored
ver,
targets.
barraje, han quitado.
Oh yeah, and one more thing about gas clouds. They can be detonated with explosions.
¡Hola, qué guapo!
I have an explosive arrow here. Let's check it out.
Explosive Arrow. Esto sí que parece Explosive Arrow de verdad. ¡Hostias, qué guapo! Exploit Weakness. Lul.
Now, because monsters in gas clouds are likely to have their armor broken, I think there's another useful combo we can do. This is an Exploit Weakness support. This support provides extra bonus damage to targets that have their armor broken. Perfect for what we have going on here.
Pues que se ve muy bien la Explosive Arrow.
So, those are just some of the skills we have on the Ranger class in Path of Exile 2. Now that we've seen all these skills, let's see how well they do against a much tougher enemy. It's time to fight the boss of the temples.
Este boss es el que se ve al principio, ¿no? Ah, no, este es otro. Panos, Last Disciple of Aurea. No le ha dado, ¿no? Ah, vale, la has tuneado. Ah, mira, cuando envenenas al boss aparece con su vida en verde. Fua. Mola mucho que la arquera tenga muchas habilidades de movimiento, Me gusta. Que no, el boss este lo puedes one-shotear, Don Vergo. Juego de 2 horas personal. Sí. Es que si te das cuenta va con un Link, 2 Link, con habilidades de todo tipo. O sea, no está especializado en ninguna habilidad, si te das cuenta, ¿sabes? Ah, aquí está usando Reino Farrow, está usando Poison y está usando Fuego. Y Físico. O sea, realmente el gameplay no va a ser así, ¿vale? O sea, esto te está enseñando todas las habilidades. Sí, lleva Sniper's Mark también. ¡Hala, mira! Ya está usando Reino Farrow, Poison. No. Lo que pasa es que esto es un showcase. Ha dicho headshot con el crítico. ¡Ah, qué guapo! Oro. Lleva habilidad porque se mueve con WASD. Una cosa más.
Yes, you can ride a rower. While riding the rower, you can shoot arrows with no movement penalty. It's pretty overpowered.
Puedes disparar sin penalización de movimiento.
So he's nice to have around, even if you're not riding him.
¡Hala! Pero esto es espectacular.
If you take a heavy stun while on a rower, you'll fall off, and it takes a while to get up.
Si te stunean, te caes.
So that's what we wanted to show you today. Now there is just one more rather unfortunate bit of news.
Ni un ítem de drop porque está quitado el filtro.
We previously said that we would get the beta out on June 7th.
Si se ve que caen ítems, nukes del loot, pero los tienen quitados del filtro. ¿No ves que hay ballestas y cosas?
I don't have an exact date for you today, but it should be towards the end of the year. In the meantime, you can still play Path of Exile 1, of course. Now, speaking of POE1, we also have the 324 expansion to announce. I'm going to hand over to Mark, the game director on POE1.
La retrasan y todavía no tienen fecha.
We had a lot of fun making this one. So let's just get straight into it with the trailer for Path of Exile Necropolis.
Bueno, luego lo miramos.
Cold flesh.
Este es el conserje de Hogwarts.
Our job is to keep them where they belong. It's your first night, so you'll need this. A ghostly lantern for ghastly tinkering.
¿Qué? ¿Qué es esto?
You'll learn to peer into the souls of the
Rarity.
dead. You'll learn how to talk
¿Qué?
to them.
Abyss, vale. Vale, lo que nosotros decíamos del lore,
Necropolis. You can pilfer shiny things from a corpse.
¿Qué es esto?
Pilfer
¿Qué
glorious
cojones?
things from a soul.
Exorcizar. ¿Ves? Tenía razón cuando dijimos que salía una espada. Podemos exorcizar ítems. A ver. Qué guapa la estética, tío. ¿Pero cómo? ¡Penultimate bosses! ¿Qué? Pero... ¿Qué? ¿Qué es eso?
The job's hard, but the pay's good.
¿Cómo?
What do you say?
Vale, con calma. Ahora nos van a enseñar todo.
In the Necropolis League, you will encounter Undertaker Aramor, a man collecting the scattered spirits of the Eternal Empire for a mysterious purpose. These spirits have begun to haunt the monsters of Recordad, unleashing their ancient fury and sorrow onto the world. The Undertaker will provide you with the Lantern of Aramor, a powerful family heirloom which can illuminate the wrathful spirits haunting monsters throughout Recordad.
Vale, vas a ir cazando bichos y vas coleccionando almas. Bueno, espíritus.
And further his cryptic cause.
Vale.
The lantern can be used when entering any new area.
Cuando vais a entrar a una área, podéis añadirle cosas.
The lantern also allows you to manipulate them, letting you configure which monsters are affected by which mods. It would be wise to
Claro, te salen distintos monstruos y tienes ahí para darles como modificadores.
Peering through the lantern, you can also see extra details about the packs of monsters in the area. Rowers here are considered common, whereas the water elementals are more scarce. If you want things to be easier, you can put the more difficult spirits on the elementals, which you'll encounter less often. We've tried to make sure that by engaging with the lantern, you are able to intelligently control the difficulty in the Necropolis.
Vale, me gusta. Que podamos controlar la dificultad me gusta.
The danger they pose. For example here, the infested vultures are servant haunted, causing them to deal a small amount of increased damage. But the Vol's Vanguard are noble haunted, causing them to deal a large amount of increased damage. As you reach higher level areas in Recordad, the tier and number of spirits that are haunting monsters will generally increase.
Para en tiers más altos, más almas y más movidas.
If you're aware of the composition of a monster pack, this means certain mods will be easier to manage. For example, the mod that increases a pack's damage for every monster killed has no effect on packs with a single monster, like a Devourer.
Vale, o sea, ok. Podemos manejar como la dificultad.
Pack deal 100% more damage. Well, I'm going to avoid the Devourer. You might have noticed that the Lantern of Aramor provides other useful information, such as the types of abilities monsters use, or the damage types they deal.
Eso está
so for
bien.
those who are less familiar with how these monsters work, this can be a great way to learn what you're up against.
Eso está muy guay. Información sobre los monstruos está muy
So if
bien.
you are finding a campaign area too difficult, you can just wait a few minutes and peer through the lantern again to see what's changed. Of course, powerful
vale, que
spirits can
cambia.
get powerful rewards. There are two reasons why you might want to face a challenge now and then. Firstly, not all the spirits are malicious. Sometimes the monsters aren't haunted at all, but are instead devoted. These can grant basic rewards like increased experience, or bigger rewards like spawning the Nameless Seer, an NPC that will grant you a single unique item after you defeat all of the packs affected by that spirit.
Vale.
The more haunted monsters you defeat
Va a salir
in
dos
the previous
veces ese
area
NPC.
before using the lantern, the more likely the devoted monsters will appear in the next area. Monsters haunted by higher tier spirits will increase the chance of the devoted appearing even more, meaning that sometimes it's worth putting the hardest modifier possible on very common monsters, if you're brave enough. Again, we've tried hard here to allow players to customize the danger and rewards
Monster da
as much as they can.
600% más de experiencia. Okay.
Aramor is an Undertaker, and you can probably guess what we're taking to him. The second main reward from the Necropolis League is monsters with unresolved anguish. Once slain, their corpses need extra care from the Undertaker, and he will offer to take them back to his necropolis.
¡Qué guapa la animación! ¡Mira esto!
Time to earn your
¡Hostias! Se ve muy bien para ser POE1, ¿no?
You have collected, and then get to work burying them in one of many graves in Aramor's cemetery. For example, we will bury this Katava's Herald. Aramor's mysterious soul experiments can coalesce powerful items. Here I've chosen to create a pair of boots.
O sea, vas a poder recolectar partes y crear ítems. A ver qué botas salen.
These boots are useful for my character, but aren't exactly what I hoped for. And this is where the Necropolis crafting system really shines.
5 to quality, life modificadores raros, hostia, un montón de cosas de crafteo.
All collected corpses do. If you bury multiple corpses in the cemetery, all adjacent corpses can be exercised at once to create one.
Ah, puedes como elegir más 100 tu life tier. What?
To that same item. This
Más un explícito.
Or many different crafting projects ongoing in the cemetery.
¡Hostia!
For example, next time I try to create boots, I could bury corpses that increase the chance of getting move speed modifiers. To go further, I could use these to generate higher tier modifiers. Then I could try to bias it towards being an evasion pair with this. Finally, I'll apply some crafting effects that improve the probability of getting good rolls.
Hostia.
Now, let's craft our item and see what we get.
¡Hala!
As you can see
Qué
now,
guapo.
we have a much better pair of boots, forged from the souls of our enemies.
Vale, es un sistema de...
Even use the entire cemetery to craft one item. There is always something you can do to try and ensure your item will be as best as it can be.
Lo bueno es que no peleas.
We hope to
Que yo
see
pensé
some
que
really
pelearías.
crazy grave crafts. If you
¡Hala!
are lucky, you might find corpses with meta crafting modifiers. These
¡Hala!
can be buried to manipulate your crafting projects in more drastic ways. This one increases the potency of all crafting effects of adjacent undead corpses.
O sea, tienen como propiamente metacraft. Yo igual pensé que saldría algún boss, sí. Pero eso está guay, porque solo mapeando te puedes craftear ítems. Es bastante fácil. Es bastante fácil y no tienes que pelear, está guay. Mola un montón. Pero los crafts no se pueden vender. ¿Por? ¿En serio? No lo he alcanzado a ver.
Items exclusive to the Necropolis League using this system. As you explore Reclass, you might find the corpses of famous Eternal Empire families. And when you bury an entire family together and exorcise them,
Julianus Novaus, ¿qué es eso?
Specific to their lineage.
¿Qué? Ah, que no son tradeables los crafteos. No.
Inheritance belt. I'll give you a moment to check that out.
Vale.
You can use other corpses alongside them to grant implicit mods, manipulate the values of explicit mods, and more. In this case, with the Veranda's Pact, you can even change the modifiers it generates.
Hostia, está guapo, da un montón de vida.
This unique is a jewel which adds extra stats to passive skills in a radius when socketed into the passive skill tree. The stats it adds are randomly generated, but you can bias it towards a specific type.
Hasta puedes fabricar únicos también.
Such as this one, which increases the chance of getting life modifiers.
Claro, es una gema con modificadores aleatorios, pero es como una de Which Was Taken, pero tú como manipulas un poco las chances, ¿no? No, los crafteos no son tradeables. No lo parece, a priori. Ah, no le ha salido la de vida. Vale. ¿Ves? Es lo que os he dicho. Ah, que se pueden... Sí que se pueden tradear.
And use them on your corpses in the morgue, which will itemize them. Another item in the Necropolis League that you can find are Embers of the All-Flame. These are monster spirits that remain living in the All-Flame, a powerful ancient artifact.
¿Os acordáis de lo de las ranas? Yo me acuerdo, que se farmeaba con ranas.
And defeating them. These embers drop throughout Reclass as itemized packs of monsters. You are able to use these packs to replace the packs in areas.
All-Flame Ember of Toa.
We have found this All-Flame
¡Tatuajes! ¡Tatuajes! ¡Tatuajes han vuelto!
Into the next area and replace one of the monster packs in here. You can see we have
Karui can drop tattoos.
Devoted modifiers to appear.
¡Vuelve los tatuajes!
Pair up the Karui ancestors with this modifier.
No sé si todos, pero...
Let's go ahead and replace the tentacle miscreations. However, when replacing packs, you want to double check
Pack monster can drop Karui tattoos.
The new pack will inherit the density of the replaced pack. The Karui ancestors we have now added to our area can even drop basic variations of tattoos. If you aren't aware, this is an item type from the Trial of the Ancestors League which can be used on passive skills to change what they do. There are many different types of itemized packs. You can find Breach and Legion monsters that drop splinters.
Vale, splinters normales. Experiencia. Lo de la experiencia, ojito, Hola.
And of course, these Ember monsters can be raised to Spectres too.
Espectros nuevos, lo sabía.
Let's discuss how this league works in in-game maps.
Vale, vamos a ver cómo funciona. Ah, cuando vas a entrar a un mapa.
However, instead of randomly cycling every few minutes, it is fixed to that map. Once you view the map through the lantern, you cannot remove.
Vale, esto es importante. Mientras estás en actos, los monstruos de cada zona cambian, pero los mapas es cada mapa tiene sus propios monstruos que van cambiando cada mapa.
We're also trying something new this time around.
Van a probar algo nuevo.
Necropolis League, there will be support for the league on the Atlas passive tree. Multiple clusters will be there, allowing you to enhance the gameplay, customize it.
Nuevas gemas. Esto lo he dicho, que va a haber nuevos nodos.
One way that you can
a ver,
change the
a ver.
in a meaningful way is with the Prospero's Wager Keystone.
¿Cómo? Todos los cuerpos de... Ah, esto es de la mecánica de liga. Ah, pero van a ser de prueba, ¿no?
Which causes them to generate a random craft when buried.
Revela un nuevo crafteo.
You have to adapt to them on the fly to get the
ah, te lo da aleatorio.
Clusters will not be available in standard league.
Vale.
Qué guapo. We've made a plethora of changes to the endgame.
Atlas con la mecánica de la liga de forma temporal. Sí, lo sé, Dae, sí. Pero de forma temporal. Y no van...
and most rewarding content in Path of Exile can be found in Uber Pinnacle bosses.
Uber Pinnacle boss es lo más fuerte.
Currently, the only way to access these bosses is by allocating specific keystones on the Atlas passive tree.
Vale.
While this system offers a nice element of control, it causes a problem. Rewards and access to the non-Uber variants are now economically priced around the rewards of the
Dice que hay un problema que la forma de acceder a los Uber bosses sea con unos nodos en el árbol.
Another problem that we noticed is the difficulty jump between the Pinnacle and Uber Pinnacle content was relatively large. And there wasn't obvious content that could bridge this gap. Many players would give up on their characters before being able to defeat the Uber Pinnacle bosses.
Dice, muchos jugadores se dan por vencidos antes de poder matar a los bosses.
We are removing the keystones that give access.
Van a quitar las keystones de los Uber bosses, pero
we'll be adding a new set of fragments that give you access to this content.
Fragmentos que te dan acceso a los Uber bosses.
We are adding a new tier of maps. Tier 17 maps.
Tier 17, mapas tier 17.
Uber Pinnacle content, but also test your characters in new ways. They feature a new set of bosses, Uber monsters, and a new tier of modifiers that can roll on the maps.
What the fuck?
There are 5 new tier 17 maps in total, with some surprising boss fights at the end. We'll look at a couple today, and the rest you'll have to discover for yourself.
¡A la hostia!
Citadel map. This map contains an ancient Kalguran citadel. You will encounter many
Esto es como
as the signature pack
Expedition, sí. Vale, es un mapa que tiene...
This is a version of a boss from Expedition League, with all its abilities and
el boss final del mapa es Uber Uhtred.
Even be able to summon 2 other Expedition bosses to aid it during
y el propio boss te invoca otro...
Secondly, we have the Fortress map. This map is an impregnable fortress, guarded by monsters from the Heist League. At the end,
hostia, qué asco de mapa. Tiene bosses de haste, qué asco. Uber haste.
Abilities and mechanics you'll have to learn and overcome. Each of the tier 17 map bosses has a chance to drop a unique item, allowing for some target farming. However, these aren't entirely new unique
items. Habilidad, qué guapo.
Instead, we've taken other unique items, removing them from the core drop pool.
No sé si es una skin o es una habilidad.
One example is this reworked version of Wraith Lord. It has 4 Abyss sockets, and allows you to summon an additional Spectre for each Ghastly Eye Jewel socketed into it.
¿Qué?
Another example is Mana Storm. This has been rebalanced to grant a lot more damage than before, alongside some more impactful mana stats, if you can get lucky rolls. Alongside adding tier 17 maps, we have also changed the Uber Pinnacle bosses to have completely distinct unique item drop pools from their
Vale, tienen nuevos ítems de drop los Uber bosses. Para que haya razones para que puedas farmear ambas versiones. Esto me gusta. Vale, el Shaper normal dropea esto. Vale. Vamos a
and
ver qué
Dying Sun.
ejemplo.
Whereas the Uber Shaper will drop
Y el Uber Shaper.
Echoes of Creation, Sublime Vision, Entropic Devastation,
Vale.
Starforge, and a new unique belt called the Tides of
Ah, un
Time.
nuevo cinturón. Los frascos que aplican a ti.
Another example of a new unique is
Es
this
el segundo
helmet from the
cinturón
Uber
de
Eater of
frascos.
Worlds,
Uber
Ravenous
Eater.
Passion,
A ver.
and these gloves from the Uber
Rage.
Exarch, the
Gran...
Celestial
Ah,
Prince.
Rage para Speed
Each
y
of the
Melee
Uber
Hit.
Pinnacle bosses has a new unique added to their drop pools.
Hostia, 1% de
We've
ataque speed por
identified another
fortificar.
major problem with the endgame
Están
we'd
muy
like to
guapos
address.
esos guantes, eh.
With every expansion added to the game, we have been increasing the complexity of running maps. It's at the point now where a player must repeatedly execute a large sequence of steps to run maps efficiently. It can be easy to forget critical steps, and it can be tiring to repeat them. To solve this, we are removing some systems, but are keeping what
¿Qué?
is good about them. The two main systems we've removed are Sextants and the Master Mission Selector.
Ah,
It is
quitan
not our
sextantes y
intention to
selección de
down the
monster.
content, however. We have completely reworked Scarabs to include most of the options that were previously covered by those mechanics.
Van a reworkear los
and
escarabajos
many,
para
many
incluir
more.
los
Let's
sextantes.
take a look at some of them. Commonly, you might find Scarabs that simply grant access to different content. Here, we have a Scarab that causes Beyond demons to spawn when killing
Escarabajo
monsters
de
in your
Beyond.
maps. And here, we have one that adds a
Y
Delirium.
de Delirium.
Each type
Vale.
of Scarab now has multiple versions. So if you want to fully
¿Ves?
invest
Un
in a
tío
type of
mayor que
content, you
Winged.
can do so. Here's a suite of Ultimatum Scarabs. This Ultimatum Scarab adds an
Vale, Ultimatum Scarab normal. Eso no es un... Ahora lo veremos. Es un bufo. A ver, vamos a verlo, espérate.
And its monsters to yield more experience.
Vale.
This Ultimatum Scarab of Dueling will cause that Ultimatum encounter to always guarantee the Trial Master
Hostia, te
boss fight at
garantiza
the end,
entrar en el boss.
assuming you can survive through all the rounds.
Ah, no es
This
Winged
Ultimatum
o
Scarab is
Gilded.
catalyzing
Son
to cause
distintos.
all rewards from that ultimatum to be catalysts instead of other
Hostia.
rewards.
Hostia, esto es súper
And finally, this
especialización.
Ultimatum Scarab of Inscription will cause all catalyst rewards from that ultimatum to be inscribed ultimatums instead. There are plenty of others. If you enjoy divination card farming, you might want to use these.
Pero se pueden utilizar en el
Divination
Atlas.
Scarab of Curation causes more divination cards to drop for each different favored map you have
¿No?
selected.
¿O no? No sé.
But it also causes whatever map you're running to only drop divination cards from those favored maps. So if you want
Solo
to try and
dropea
enter your
cartas
match
de los
and
mapas
don't want to just
favoritos.
farm Crimson Temple, then this Scarab is for you. This
Claro, puedes
Divination
farmear
Scarab
las
of Completion
cartas de
causes your
Crimson Temple en otro
divination cards to have
mapa.
a 20% chance to
Hostia.
drop as a full stack instead, for maximum dopamine. Basically, there are now just a lot of Scarabs. You might have also noticed that they no longer have tiers. Scarabs are now all world drops. You can get them anywhere. Some might
Y
be
caen
rarer
en
than
cualquier
others,
lado.
but the intention is that there will be a lot more options than before, and more interesting combinations to consider. If you want to target specific Scarabs, Betrayal has been updated to include most of them, and you will need to relearn which ones come from where. While this system is allowing you to heavily invest in one type of content, it is reducing your capacity for variety. To address this, we have massively increased access to content on the Atlas passive tree.
Vale, han mejorado las pasivas del árbol para que te puedas super especializar en una cosa. Hostia,
Regarding
cuánto.
master missions, content such as Incursion, Delve, Betrayal, and Bestiary, these too are now accessible with Scarabs, and have more reliable investment options on the tree.
Vale,
Not
tiene
only
más
this,
opciones.
You can now
Vale.
get Jun, Einhar, Alva, and Nico to appear together in the same map.
Eso está bien.
We have also removed some keystones such as Wandering Path, Grand Design,
Han quitado
and
Wandering
Growing
Path.
Chords, but have added some new ones too. For example, Unwavering Vision,
¿Qué? What
Back
the
to
fuck?
Basics,
¿Qué? Te da 20 puntos random.
and
Ah, el
Thorough
mapa tiene hasta un
Exploration.
80% más de efecto.
And we
El
have
boss
added some
final
new
está
notables,
mejorado
such as
por
Remarkable
Affliction.
Relics, which allows you to try find better variants of Scarabs. Mounting modifiers, which increases
Sí,
the
no lo he
values
leído
of
bien.
modifiers on your maps by 2% for each explicit
Vale,
modifier.
hay más opciones
Tainted
ahora.
Carapace,
Dios.
which is just one in a set of many that allow you to target farm specific types of Scarabs.
Puedes buscar farmear un tipo
These are just a
específico de
few of the
Scarabs.
many new notables that can be found on the Atlas passive skill tree.
Hostia.
Lastly, we are giving you more flexibility in what content you want to run in the endgame. In 324, you can now have multiple copies of the Atlas tree.
Podéis tener varios tipos de Atlas.
You can unlock up to 2 extra trees for a total of 3 by progressing.
3 tipos de árboles distintos podéis tener. Esto es la hostia.
When you open a map, you can select which tree you would like to use.
Y elegís dentro del mapa qué Atlas os sirve. Esto es espectacular. MF Strat.
Which one has which content. With all this combined, we're hoping to see new endgame strategies shine through. While playing through the campaign in 324,
mejoran la campaña. Espera. Espera.
The fundamentals of the campaign are still intact, but we've scattered fun encounters and secrets throughout Rayclast. The Dweller of the Deep has been trapped. What are these ritual shrines doing in the northern forest? And why are they giving me omens? This device looks safe. I should definitely use this on my items. There are plenty more encounters to discover. We'll continue adding more surprises in future releases, so keep an eye out. In the previous expansion, 323, we released a large number of transfigured skill gems. These are alternate versions of existing skill gems that function in very different ways, allowing for more build and gameplay variety. At the time, our aspirations were higher than we could achieve. We planned more gems than we could make. So, in 324, we're adding another set of transfigured gems that we have now finished.
¿Van a añadir gemas transfiguradas?
Incinerate, Artillery Ballista, Tornado, Elemental Hit,
Elemental Hit,
Blast,
Tornado, Kinetic Blast, Poisonous Concussion. Sí, muchas gemas que no tenían. Vale.
Hopefully those of you who missed your favorite skill having a transfigured variant will get that here. We will certainly be adding more of these in the future, especially
van a añadir más en el futuro. Sobre todo las que no tienen. Y van a hacer un banal de las actuales. Kinetic Bolt es verdad.
It is clear that the endgame potential of the Wander archetype really starts to suffer, mostly in the single target damage department. Due to this, we've added the new support gem, Sacred Wisps. This support gem causes
nueva gema support Secret Wisp.
Attached wisps for a duration. With these wisps, whenever you attack, they have a chance to also use the same skill, if you have enemies in your presence. And if there are any rare or unique enemies, they will always use the skill.
Vale, es una habilidad para potenciar el single target de las habilidades de varita. Los ataques de varita. Está bien. Vale, estos son los cambios que hemos visto que ya nos han enseñado. A ver si está todo. Vale, lo que hemos visto del clic izquierdo de forma automática con una gema. Mantener pulsado el fusing para tirar todos los fusings. En vez de tener que hacer clic clic, mantenéis pulsado y se van tirando todos. Me podéis mover con un clic del... Vale, se ven ahora mejor el Detonated Death. Cuando estéis en la mesa de crafteo, se ven los modificadores arriba. Cuando baleáis un ítem, ya no se vuelve sin identificar, sino que ahora te da un implícito. Los objetos corruptos y mirrorados pueden ser identificados. Eso no se había visto,
Upgrades to Pantheon powers now apply to all characters in a league. You no longer need to grind divine vessels on each new character.
Se comparten los panteones entre personajes. Los fragmentos del Uber Elder podéis cambiarlos entre uno y otro. Han quitado el Veiled Chaos y ahora es Veiled Orb y funciona como una Aisling.
These orbs now drop from Katarina and are no longer a world drop.
Quiero saber si es garantizado o no el drop de Katarina. Los frascos se pueden corromper, pueden subir la quality o bajar.
The betrayal bench craft that converts an amulet to a talisman has been moved to bestiary. and thus can be traded. Maven invitations no longer drop. Instead,
Eso el talismán. Sin más. Esto de que cuando hagáis los bosses os da la invitación directamente.
Ready to be rolled. Valdo's maps that granted invitations now give scarabs. No more having to waste guardian kills to try get invitations to drop. Next up, we're going to be talking about our new.
Ha habido solo uno más, que es el de.
We're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Solar and Eldritch packs.
Ah, vale, estos son dos nuevos supporter packs.
Face value and points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions.
¿Y no se pueden vender las invis? No, se venden los bosses.
And will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Solar series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
A ver, ¿qué?
The Cosmos weapon effect adorns your weapon with stars. Hitting enemies causes cosmic energy to spill out into the area around them.
Esto no me disgusta.
The Radiant Orb of Chance extra effect projects the outcome of items you've used an Orb of Chance on above your head.
Ah, vale. Eso es ver el outcome del Orb of Chance.
If you see them chance a powerful unique item. Shine boldly with the Solar Knight armor set. The power of the sun radiates from your body, getting more and more intense as you use skills and emitting solar flares as you run.
Este está guapo.
With the Supernova level up extra effect, the dead will be raised from the ground around you.
Esto no me, los efectos de subir de nivel no me gustan nada, la verdad.
This one is my personal favorite. The Cosmic Turtle hideout lets you travel the infinite expanse of the cosmos atop the back of a colossal turtle.
Allah!
Carry the weight of the sun on your back with the Solar Guardian back attachment. Witness it grow larger and larger as the energy of slain enemies is funneled into it. When it reaches its maximum size, it goes supernova and turns into a black hole, forever drifting throughout Rayclast. The Eldritch Pack series also has 6 exclusive microtransactions. Are you wondering if we moved the stash in the latest patch? Don't be fooled, because with the Mimic Stash Pet, players can transform into an image of a stash when in a town or hideout and scare unsuspecting exiles. This pet follows behind you with its terrifying hand.
Qué locura es, tío.
The Shaper's Slam finisher effect sends slain unique enemies into a
final abyss of unending darkness.
Va trolear a la gente con los
Hunger armor set contains a beast that demands you defeat it by embracing your bloodlust. Watch it grow in power the more you kill until it bursts from the shell of the helmet. Are you able to satiate its hunger?
Este está más o menos.
The seed within the corrupted growth map device expands its grasp on your hideout, the more maps you complete on your atlas. The Hunter character effect causes skulls of slain rare enemies to whirl around you like trophies.
Hostia, es un efecto del Headhunter.
A rare enemy you are yet to kill, wishing for them to join your collection.
Se te queda la cabeza dando vueltas, está guapo.
The struggle didn't exist, allowing the Eldritch Horrors to settle their own conflicts with the Eldritch Horror Apparition effect. Which of the Eater of Worlds or Searing Exarch do you think will win? These packs are now available for purchase on both PC and console, and will remain so during Path of Exile Necropolis.
Se ve el culo del gato.
Meanwhile, the Shade and Disciple packs leave the store forever at the launch of Necropolis League, so now's your last chance to purchase them. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post Path of Exile Necropolis' full...
Cuando termine el preguntas y respuestas, nos ponemos. Vale. Vale, hay muchas cosas, muchas cosas. Vale, lo primero... bueno, vamos a revisarlo ahora todo, ¿vale? De nuevo. Demasiadas emociones.